everyone. Welcome to episode 16 of the Powerhouse Podcast, where we bring to you the powerhouses in the mitochondrial world. I'm your host, Brian Harman, President and CEO of the United Mitochondrial Disease Foundation. And I'm joined once again by my co-host, Dr. Phil Yeske. Phil, it's good to have you back on the podcast.
Well, thanks very much, Brian. I miss being a part of it.
Well, certainly we kept you busy over the past several weeks, just wrapping up our world-class mitochondrial medicine symposium. I'm still coming down a little bit emotionally from this event. I don't know about you.
Without a doubt. It was really incredible. I knew it would be different getting back together after nearly 3 years of not seeing so many members of our community in person. But it still really floored me just how much of a difference it makes to be able to meet with people in person, have a conversation, be human beings.
Right.
Right?
And what a difference
of this little two-dimensional box.
What a difference 3 years makes in so many different ways, right? So going from having virtual events the last couple of years to being back together, but you look at the activity that's happened over the past 3 years, and I was just so impressed going into those clinical trial sessions, hearing from the updates from so many of those companies that are investing in clinical trials. I know that's something that's really exciting you right now.
Without a doubt. This is I'll call it the first big wave. I mean, we've certainly have had other sponsors move through clinical trials. But now we have a real wave of activity, which means we need to find the patients, characterize the patients, be prepared as a community. And what's most exciting to me, I think I've shared this on other podcasts we've done, is what's still to come, right? That there are dozens more, right? Out to sea still, right? Not quite ready to be a wave, but we have some success inside this wave. There's going to be more. And that's really exciting for our community. This disease is far too complex to think that one intervention is going to solve all issues related to mitochondrial disease. So we need as many different approaches as possible so that we can tailor those, right? Our clinicians can tailor those to the patient's needs.
So adding to that, 30 plus clinical trials out there right now. And, at UMDF, what we're really focused on is providing the resources to patient families who are making decisions on enrolling in clinical trials. Of course, we launched a new clinical trials finder tool, which has been really helpful. But what we heard at Symposium as part of our Voice of the Patient sessions is there's a greater need for educating the community on clinical trials. This is relatively still new for our community, and
definitely
hoping you might comment on that a little bit.
Yeah, it's a complex area, and I think it's the sort of topic that both needs and demands multiple presentations and different formats, or us thinking about how we break down clinical research into so-called snackable pieces so that people can kind of learn as they go. We got a lot of great feedback out of those in-person sessions in Phoenix. And I'm really excited about some of the priorities we set that we want to try to address. As you know, my focus was on what's actionable, right? This can't just be a complaining session of everything that's wrong. What can we do about it? Right. Yeah. And what can we do about it now? Because we have clinical trials that are open right now and we have to help them, but we have to be mindful of what's coming down the road. And so what can our midterm and long-term plan be? And I think we got off to a great start, and not surprisingly, the patient community did not disappoint in the least, right, with their willingness to be engaged and share with us their concerns, what they've liked about participating in clinical research, what's held them back,
right?
What hesitancies they may have. We really have to be listening to these things so that we can play the role as we UMDF of stewarding, right, those interactions back to industry and the clinicians about just creating a better environment for clinical trials, a culture of clinical trials.
Yeah, well, speaking of that environment and the patients not disappointing and moving the ball forward, we've been really pleased with the launch of our Mitoshare patient registry. Over 500 registrants on the platform, and talk a little bit to our listeners about how important a patient registry is to moving all these things forward.
Yeah, so in many ways, it's the backbone, right, of a clinical trial strategy. If we don't know where the patients are and who they are, and when I say who, I mean in terms of genetically what issues they're dealing with, but also what their symptoms look like.
Right.
It's really hard to think about how do we begin to form groups of patients that can benefit from any given clinical trial that's being planned. So yes, we can depend on the clinicians, but there's so much more that the patients themselves, right, can share. And that's why we chose the name of MitoShare, that they can share their health information, their electronic health records, their genetic testing reports. They can track the medications that they're taking over time. They can track their medical appointments over time. All of these are data points that help us understand the journey of mitochondrial disease. So that registry is central to our overall strategy. And yes, I'm thrilled with the response we've received. And we know there's so much more, right?
Yeah,
I think in my presentation, I talked about the tip of the iceberg, right? Like 500 is great. We got to get to 5,000. Right? We know those patients are out there, and caregivers, right? We care about the caregiver perspective on this too. So we still have a lot of work to do, but it is certainly validating that the community has responded so positively.
So quick plug on those. You can visit umdf.org. Right there on the homepage, you can see the MitoShare button that you can click to get to MitoShare, the clinical trial finder we've been talking about, all these resources that are for our patient families. It's based on the feedback we receive from our patients. So please check out umdf.org. And of course, Phil, as the leader of this type of organization, it's always an exciting time at the close of a fiscal year, right? This is one of my favorite calendars, is the close of a fiscal year. Ours is coming up here, which means wrapping up the planning for next year as we head into July and start our fiscal year. And really, we have our eyes so much on fundraising for FY23. We had a really great year this year. I'm so happy and excited about the generosity of our community, our corporate partners, our patient families, $1 at a time, helping move these things forward. All these programs we talk about, they cost a lot of money. They take a lot of money to move these programs forward. And I'm really delighted just the grassroots energy, despite the challenges that are happening right now economically.
Right.
You know, coming out of COVID, two solid years of COVID, and then you head into potentially the big R word, to know that the community is still saying, we're making mito patients a priority, that has to make you feel really good as a program manager for this organization.
Yeah, very much so. Every day, I try to be appreciative of just the fact that what we do is enabled by those that have trusted in us as an organization for so many years and continue to advance this mission, that that we have the credibility, that our goals are all about doing right by the mitochondrial disease patient community. And as you said, it requires money. There's no getting away from it. And we really acknowledge that every dollar that's put in is a sacrifice someone is making on behalf of our mission and what we're trying to accomplish. And as you know, I never run short on ideas for what has to be doing.
Yeah, you and I are dangerous together, I think, on that.
So I know it puts pressure on bringing the money in so we can put that money back to work. But that's why we're here, right? That is why we're here, is to try and as quickly as possible find the treatments and cures, and someday be able to talk about a world that's free of mitochondrial disease. It almost seems impossibly vague, at this point in time, but it's doable. Through constant advancement in science, we can envision a day like that, but we have to take one step at a time, and that's what we're trying to do now.
Motivated community fundraisers who are helping us get there, and it's why I'm pleased to welcome our guests today, such fundraisers. And Phil, this is our very first celebrity guest, a children's book author.
I know, it's quite impressive.
Yes.
I think the resume looks better than mine.
Exactly. Well, let's welcome in Kendall and Taylor Conner. Hey. Kendall, Taylor, how are you?
We're doing great. How are you guys?
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Kendall, I was just telling Phil here that you are our very first celebrity children's book author. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, celebrity.
All right. I can't wait to talk about your book and talk about reading today, talk about kindness, all the great things that you guys are focused on right now. Taylor, tell us a little bit about the two of you, your family, where you're from.
Well, we're from the Charlotte area of North Carolina, and we have Rick is my husband. Kendall is 7, and she has an older brother who's Callan, and he's 12.
Fantastic. And Kendall, I know there's so many things that excite you. What are some of the things that you like to do, Kendall?
You like to read?
I like to read.
And she likes reading on Epic. She's saying.
Epic. So I heard what your favorite reading series is. Now,
Yeah,
I've read Dog Man before. My 9-year-old reads Dog Man. Phil, I don't know if you've read Dog Man before.
I have to say, I've missed Dogman.
Well,
but
what
I'm
you
interested.
also may have missed is Cat Ninja. So Kendall, your favorite book series is Cat Ninja.
Yeah.
What does Cat Ninja? What does Cat Ninja do? Does he fight crime?
Yeah.
Cool.
And he's very stealth and secretive as well too,
Yeah.
like a ninja. Well, your mom also told me that you read one of my favorite books that I read as a child, Charlotte's Web. Is that the book you're reading right now?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good one.
So we
That's a
just
good one.
completed it.
Just completed Charlotte's Web. Okay. We're having a little debate in my house right now with my 10 and 12-year-old about the importance of reading throughout the summer. So it's always good to know there's some friends out there who are spending their time reading.
Yeah.
Well, Taylor, it's clear that Kendall has a passion for reading. I know she spends a lot of her time reading, and I'm assuming that's part of the inspiration for a very special project that the two of you have worked on together. And I was hoping you could share with our listeners today a little bit about the new book that's coming out.
Sure. Let me try to go on speakers and see if I can't.
Please take your time.
Okay, thank you.
Phil, what are you reading this summer?
Well, as you know, right, I kind of like the space area, so I'm kind of reading all about the launch of SpaceX and this new private industry that's developing around it. Yeah, really fascinating.
Excellent.
See my little rocket hiding
I see him, right? I just started, quick sidebar on books here, Phil and I just started Project Hail Mary, which is the author who wrote The Martian. I read one fiction a year. I'm typically a nonfiction guy, but I still get into the space work too.
Cool.
All right, Taylor, can you hear us okay?
I can. I
Good.
probably shouldn't have spoken there. I thought I was on mute.
Oh, no worries. We're all good. So tell us a little bit about the book project.
Okay, the book was written. It was kind of inspired by one of Kendall's teachers. Kendall's virtual from school, and so I'm sitting right beside of her during many of the classroom activities. And we were doing a poetry unit at the very end of school. Kendall loves poetry. So near the end of this unit, which was about 4 weeks ago, we decided to take a few of Kendall's stanzas and just enlarge it and make it into a book about friendship.
Excellent. And you source some friends to do some illustration for you as well, too, I understand?
We did. So once we kind of made this, I think it was like 2 days that we kind of came up with the idea and the poetry couplets. And then to make sure that this book kind of went out as a quick fundraiser for Kendall, we asked her classmates if they would participate, and the teacher was very much on board. And each of the children created their illustrations. So we each child chose a couplet, and they picked their own illustrations and illustrated it how they wanted to for the book.
Oh, wonderful. I don't know if we caught the name of the book.
Oh, I'm sorry. The book is Friends Make the World Better.
Wasn't that the truth?
Yeah,
And the illustrations are really, it was coincided with COVID. And I think it really brings Kendall a lot of joy to see her friends online every day. And So that's another part of this book that kind of inspired in teaching children at an early age how to treat each other. All of her classmates were very gentle and kind throughout the year, but Kendall does have some speech deficits and some deficits when it comes to fine motor skills. So when they're playing with and she's in a group, it takes her a little bit longer if you're Kendall's partner to deal with the manipulatives. And they're very patient. They're a great group of kids, and they did a phenomenal job illustrating this book.
Yeah, beautiful.
I had a chance to take a little sneak peek online at just some of the lovely passages and the artwork, and it just really helps to generate the spirit of childhood and kindness. And I know that was your goal with all this. And you've alluded to it a little bit in terms of the importance and role of kindness, particularly with young kids and kids who are on this mito journey. So I hope you might be able to share a little bit about just some of your thoughts on other inspiration from the book around the topic of kindness.
I think kids are curious by nature. So if someone's a little different, they want to know why. And as adults, sometimes I've seen parents like, I'm sorry for my kid asking that question. And I said, please don't apologize. We want to, educate the children at a young age, like what is mitochondrial disease? Be aware that if it's not mitochondrial disease, that all of us are different and unique in special ways, and to embrace those differences and to be very inclusive of those children who are a little bit different in our classes.
Yeah, very worthwhile goals. And, they're inquisitive in a non-judgmental way, right? They just want to understand, and learning that to be tolerant and inclusive are lifelong skills for sure.
And so at the same time we did this book, we wanted to do something positive with it. So we decided to use this as a fundraiser. COVID's been especially hard. We weren't able to have our normal fundraiser that we had previously called Brewing Hope. And it's been hard to fundraise. And when you can't bring people into the home to help you, you have to think about, how can I fundraise with my child? And with Kendall beside me, she loves poetry. She loves writing. She's very creative. She came up with the idea of the cover.
Love it.
And she painted the cover. And beautiful. She couldn't manipulate the cutting out the individual persons, but with a little help from Mom and a little help from one of my friends who does the computer aspect of it, we were able to put it together very nicely. So again, I think friends are important no matter what age you are.
Absolutely. True. I know you guys have been such powerhouses with your Family Impact Fund and been longtime supporters of UMDF, which we're so grateful for. So hopefully you might be able to take us back a little bit just on your mito journey as a family to share with us. And certainly we know Kendall is the inspiration for so much of what you do, but talk to our listeners a little bit about your connection to UMDF and how you found yourself here with us.
Kendall was diagnosed in 2016. She was 2.5 years of age. I was practicing law in Concord. There was another parent that literally lived 5 houses down from my law office in downtown Concord, Sherry Albertson. And she is on the board for UMDF. And our connection was that she lost a child to Lee syndrome. And someone found, it was another attorney who found, I didn't know Sherry up until this point. Another attorney found a letter that I had written to the judges explaining about Kendall's diagnosis and that I wouldn't be back. And one of these other attorneys found it in the judge's chamber and reached out to me and said, I think I need to introduce you to somebody. And that somebody was Sherry.
Thank you so much for sharing that story. I hadn't heard that before.
I hadn't heard that either. That's incredible.
And Sherry is certainly the type of individual that you want in your life, no matter what, just such a grounded and generally sweet person. So I'm glad you guys had a chance to make that connection. So you've had the opportunity to see Kendall and all of her brightness and all of her joy. And it's so great to have her on today and just see the warmth that she brings. Talk to me about what else makes Kendall special for you.
She's probably the bravest child I've ever seen, not even just child, individual. She won perfect attendance for 2 years straight at Hickory Ridge. I mean, we are virtual, but that is
fantastic.
That is something to be said as she logs on from home, whether she's had an EEG earlier or she has the bandages on, the wrap for the EEG. She has had difficulties this past year, actually the past almost 2 years, with seizures. And those have been rough. And many times Kendall says, I'm ready to go back on. As soon as it's over with, she's ready to log back in. And she logs in by herself. So she has a lot of determination.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And that eventually got you into this path of coming up with the idea for this book. And what I found really interesting, just reading the about section of the book, the forward of the book, just highlighting the special bond between a mom and her daughter and doing this project together. And I was hoping you might be able to comment on that a little bit, of just, how the beginnings of this book came to be, and just some of the moments you had together as a mother and daughter putting this together.
Reading has been something that Kendall has enjoyed doing since she was born, almost. We read to her at a young age. We have also had to worry about how many fluid ounces Kendall receives a day. So when she was diagnosed, I think at 2.5, 3 years of age, they said, you need to make sure she drinks enough fluid. And one way we began making sure that Kendall would drink enough fluid would be to read to her. And we would not turn the page until she continued to read and take another sip. So it started early. She was reading early by herself at like 4 years of age. She very smart. Speech has regressed some over the past year, 2 years, but I would say she loves to read. She can write. She can type a lot. That's how she typically tells me what she wants in the book. If you have noticed, Kendall's hints are all over this book. So not only did she tell me how the cover was going to be designed, but if you can see the inside of this book, it has these little emojis that say, "You are special." Yes. That's Kendall's idea.
Love it.
So, and then at the end of the book, on the newest paperback copy, this is a artist proof, but on the new book, she actually has a green heart for Mito. And that was her idea, to put that green heart underneath her name as author.
Wonderful. Yeah, I saw at the end of the book too, was there an opportunity to write a special message to a friend or draw a picture?
There is.
Kindness as well too.
I
love how interactive it was for the kids.
Yes, thank you. It tells the student or whoever the reader that they can draw a picture of themselves and their own special friend. And so, yeah, and a lot of times that friend at an early age is not necessarily another child, but it could be an animal. It could be their favorite pet, a dog, a cat, a horse.
Well, we'll say it more than once on our conversation today, but tell the listeners where they can find the book, how they eventually can purchase the book.
Sure. This book is for purchase on Amazon, and it is $14.95 for purchase as a paperback.
And the proceeds go to benefit the Kendall Conner Fund at UMDF.
All proceeds will benefit mitochondrial research for sure.
Fantastic. Talk to me a little bit about, I can imagine as a mom to be able to see your daughter work on this project and finds, that reading and writing and this type of things brings her so much joy. I want to talk to you a little bit about just this as an outlet for you as a mom. We certainly can empathize with the grind that so many of our patient families are on with mitochondrial disease. And we hear it at these meetings. And Phil, we go to the support meetings and we talk so often about, finding some things to do, to connect, to, stimulate other parts of your brain as you're on this grind. It's so important. And Taylor, I'd love to hear that from you. Just even if you had to give advice to other moms that are on this journey in terms of finding these special moments on your journey?
Our special moment happens to be that we typically create books and stories during lunchtime. Rather than this disease does affect Kendall's ability to feed, and it takes her a long time at meal times. We spend an hour and a half pretty much at every mealtime. And so I'm a very fast eater and probably very impatient. And so, Kendall has taught me a lot about patience. And we sit there at the table creating books, and I'm trying to make sure that her education gets forward and that we're pushing forward with regards to her education, that we do these things to continue to stimulate her mind. As well as mine. She always has some input going back and forth and learning things and questioning me. Like if I put a word into the book and she doesn't know it, then she asks, what's that word? And we'll go to the dictionary and we'll look it up. And I'll let her select rhymes. We go to a website called Rhyme Zone, and she picks out things that might rhyme that she likes. And so yeah, it's been a fun project for the two of us.
Well, she's the creative director as well too, so that has to keep you busy just with her demands of the cover art, right?
She likes to be involved with every, if she's going to do something that's going to have her name on it, she wants involvement. So if I've wrote a lot of it, she's going to edit a lot of it.
Right. Well, I know the book is just one of the many ways that you have fundraised for UMDF in the past. You've mentioned the brewing event, and I know that's something that had to take a pause. But I was hoping you might be able to share with, we have so many families who quite frankly come to us and say, we want to find some ways to fundraise for UMDF, and we want to create these impact funds, much like your family has. Talk to us a little bit about some of the other types of fundraising that you guys have done.
The biggest fundraiser that we did was Brewing Hope, and that was in collaboration with Cabarrus Brewing Company here locally in the Charlotte Concord area, and Lexington Barbecue provided the barbecue. So it was a great event. We had a lot of sponsors and donors who gave us nice items to auction off, and I think everybody had a great time. With COVID, we couldn't replicate that.
Right.
In fact, we have not even had caretakers in our home for the past 2.5 years. So that explains kind of why we went the book route. And Kendall enjoys books. She enjoys creating these types of books. This is probably, I think, the third or fourth story that she's had an impact in developing.
Well, Phil, I think it's safe to say, though, if an event that's barbecue and beer does come back, Phil and I will have to make our way down.
Yeah, I think we'll find a way there for sure.
Right. But inspiring, Phil, I think about all these different stories we hear from patient families who are on that arduous mitochondrial disease journey, but they do something kind of bigger than that for the community. Yeah. And I say that because so many families we talk to, it's about supporting the community itself.
It's incredibly inspirational, that's for sure. To find the time and the will to advance something like this, while caring for a loved one that's affected by mitochondrial disease. I'm always inspired by Taylor and by Kendall whenever we interact. It seems boundless, their energy, and the irony of that is not lost on me.
Taylor, what else should our listeners know about you, Kendall, your family, and your story?
We are racing towards a cure. I think that's first and foremost in our mission in this household, is to live every day to the most that we can live, enjoy each other every day, and try to find a cure as fast as possible.
Well, we can't be any more proud to be along your side and helping you do that. And conversations like this and seeing Kendall and her excitement for this project, it gives us a real kick in the pants to know, as I tell so many of our donors in our community, these are real families that we're helping. And to know that There are many families like the Conners out there that are counting on UMDF. And when I say UMDF, not just Brian and Phil in this organization, but you're the UMDF as well,
Right.
too, Taylor. You're part of that. It's a real nice way to head into our next fiscal year, as I said before, Phil. Like we talk about planning and getting excited and fundraising. Ultimately, it's the families that are behind all this. And
yeah, if you ever needed a kick in the pants,
Right.
that's, okay, new year, we're back to square one. Just read a little bit about what, Taylor is doing and Kendall and what she brings to it. And immediately the juices are flowing to say,
Yes.
okay, we've got more work to do. And, I've been so moved and honored, to be able to work with the Conner family on their impact fund and the research that they're interested in and trying to advance projects that are meaningful, not just to Kendall, but to ultimately, a larger portion of the mitochondrial disease patient community. It's very motivating to say the least, and I'm really hopeful that we're on some pathways that will be really promising and valuable in the future.
And you can learn more about Kendall's fund and all the family impact funds on our website. No, your webpage on there has quite a bit of information on there showcasing your story and what you guys are set out to do.
Yes, it does. And we also have on our website and it's under the UMDF / Kendall Conner. But on that website, we have information about a fund with our fund that we have contributed to a research project. And Phil was right beside us throughout and directed along with Dr. Ethan Perlstein and Dr. Lauren Black over at Charles River. And we did this project with Charles River, and we've tested 7,000 drugs with Kendall cells. And so that's what the money is going for. When people say, what are you doing with research? Well, we're testing those cells with drugs that are available out there right now. And I think the next, obviously, we do have a drug that was a hit, and we're doing more research with regards to whether that's safe enough to give Kendall. Right now, she's in a clinical trial, so we're kind of at least checking that drug before we can move or do anything else. We're kind of trying to be patient with the clinical trial that we're on right now, which is the PTC 743 out of Akron Children's Hospital is where we attend. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, such a inspirational project, and I appreciate you saying work alongside you, because that's how we view it very much. This is about listening, hearing your wishes, the directions you're trying to go, but also providing alongside you some stewardship of the project and an objective opinion, right, about where are the best places to put your valuable donor dollars to work. Frankly, it's it's a model relationship that I've told Brian this. I think we can do a lot more, and to learn through it, to have experienced this, to see this sort of tantalizing, promising lead emerge from it, really only reinforces my conviction that this is the direction that UMDF needs to evolve in its second 25 years. That we can. It's amazing the tools that are available, right, for sort of patient-initiated or patient advocacy-initiated research. We can make a difference, and we really hope we get to do that for Kendall.
It takes brave families to lead that charge. I'll quote Dr. Perlstein, who we've had on this podcast, and never forget, he called it the battering ram.
Right.
You think about that wall, and it takes those families that are putting that crack in there, and then it takes patient advocacy groups to get behind them to push that wall down. And it's certainly inspiring to know that there's a network of people who think like that. But it's the patient families who are leading the charge. So you talk about bravery at the very beginning of this conversation, Taylor, and I have to just salute your bravery on that as well, too, right? Recognizing the challenges that you face every single day, to know that this is another challenge that I'm going to step up and help advance research.
that's our mission.
Absolutely. Well, we got to say at least one more time where we can find the book. I want to make sure that we're promoting that enough. So you can go to Amazon.
Absolutely. Amazon, and you may have to go under new releases in the past 30 days.
Nice.
If it does not pop up initially on Amazon, go hit the 30 days released within the past 30 days. And again, the title is Friends Make the World Better.
Perfect. Nothing more true today than that, right? We all need some more good friends out there, and we consider you good friends. So thank you so much, Taylor. And please send our thanks to Kendall. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I'll expect a signed copy from Kendall to be sent our way here too. Right?
Absolutely. Kendall has her own special stamp, so she can sign some, but she's also during her at her school, she gave these out to all of her classmates. Since their illustrations were in there, we handed them out to her second grade class with Miss Bowdy. And all the kids, they just loved it. They thought it was the best thing that they were going to be published illustrators.
Yes.
And so Kendall had a stamp. There was no way she was going to go quickly to give every student their copy, but she wanted to stamp. So she has her own little special Kendall Spread Kindness stamp, and she stamped each one of them.
She's so prolific. This is great.
She gets it.
Well, thank you so much for spending some time. Look at that, just in time. I warned that the dog may bark. And believe it or not, big guess what came to my door. We've been talking about it for the last half hour. Amazon. So go to Amazon, order your book. Mine will come via Amazon, and my dog will bark. It'll be perfect. Taylor, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye, Taylor.
Bye-bye.
All right, Phil, I'm adding your summer reading list.
Yeah, for sure. I was trying to do a little quick Googling over here to make sure that, I can find it there. I can say, make sure that you don't search Connor Kendall. That's a very different author than Kendall Conner. And the topics don't seem anywhere near as inspirational. So be careful.
Well, we'll be sure to put a direct link in these show notes and on our social media when this hits on social media as well, too. And, we talk a lot about inspiration. We talk a lot about kind of what drives us here as staff. And, I think as staff, we have days just like anybody else, right? We have days like, oh, it's Monday, and I'm just not ready today. Yeah. And then you have conversations like this, and it's a nice reminder of the folks that are counting on you to be ready.
Yeah.
But more than that, this is a little bit different. It's where they're the ones kicking down the doors with us, right? Like between the research fund and going out and publishing children's books just for fundraisers, and all while managing this very difficult disease.
Yeah, no, it's easy to throw words around like inspirational, and maybe they lose some of their meaning. But I think when we use it in the context of Kendall and Taylor and the Conner family, it truly is inspirational. And it's the kick in the pants that we all need, to just be reminded that we've got work to do.
Absolutely.
And let's get to it.
And what a reminder for us today, just to spread some kindness as well too. I know I'm going to make that my charge for the week of just being a better friend and spreading some kindness. There's nothing wrong with that. These are universal truths, and they apply very broadly beyond rare disease drug development, but to spring from the mind of a rare disease patient at such a young age, and so motivated to make a difference like that. It's inspirational. Perfect. Well, once again, special thanks to our guests, Taylor and Kendall Conner, author Kendall Conner. So excited to have them on today. I know she set the bar high now for future guests. Right? Yes. Well, you can follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, YouTube channel. Find all these great stories on there and all of our broadcasts. Until next time, go fast, but also let's be kind.